All right, so we are currently on our coding practice page. We've created the All About Me homepage and the What's Inside table of contents. With our coding practice page, we're going to be creating links to the coding assignments that we've been doing so far in class. If you have been with me since September, my advanced students, you may have a Codecademy, and both beginning and advanced, you may have a Khan Academy. So if you have those two things, then you'll be creating links for those pages. If you don't, you're just going to be creating a programming page and a CSS page for also programming. You have not started CSS yet. That is what you'll be doing after you finish with this digital portfolio, setting this up. Okay. So my students who do have a Codecademy and Khanacademy, I will show you how to do that, but I'm going to focus mostly on the code HS stuff that everybody has been working on so far. Okay, so I'm going to go back to here, and again, I want to make sure that I am consistent. I've got a different font for my page titles, so I'm going to make sure I have that same font here. So I'm going to change that really quickly. If you haven't done so yet, pause the tutorial and change yours to whatever you set your other ones to be as well. Okay, and again, we're remaining consistent. Our banner is the same throughout. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'm going to show you how to create 3. Chances are you're only going to need 2 columns, but I'm going to show you how to create 3 for my students who do have Khan Academy and Codecademy. Just because you haven't done those yet, you may actually do them at another time. So we might as well create them just in case. We can always delete them if we never use them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to add a text box. Okay, you can see that the text box is very long. I don't need it to be that long, but I'll resize it in just a second. Okay, so in this first one here, I'm going to do the Codecademy All About Bears and the Khanacademy Mr. Grumpledump's song. So we're all going to do this as well. Okay, Codecademy All About Bears and Khan Academy Mr. Grumpledump's song. Okay, and then I'm gonna highlight them, and I'm gonna change their font. I don't remember what I had my font on this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and change that. Antic Slab 14. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Antic Slab 14. Okay, so if you could please add a text box and just list these 2. Let's turn them into a bulleted list. And then change your font so that it matches the font on your others. Go ahead and pause the tutorial and do that for me now. Now, again, what we want to do is create 3 columns, and you can't really do that within the text box. So what we're going to do is we are going to click on the text box. So if I'm over here on the white, before I do anything, let's publish. Okay, check our changes, make sure they're what we want, and then hit publish. So I'm going to click on the text box, and now I have these blue little dots. I'm going to move the blue little dots so that they're about here. That's fine. Okay, so I'm using the lines that show up, the gray lines, to show where I'm going to move my stuff. And I need to have room for 3 of them. So I'm going to move it to about right here. So you can see that I've got 3 gray lines in between to kind of judge where my square is going to be. Okay, so now I'm going to create another text box, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make it about the same size as the other one. And then when I hover over, you see that there are these rows of dots. And when I put my mouse over them, my mouse cursor changes into the 4 directional arrows. So when the 4 directional arrows are there, that means that I can move this text box. So I'm going to click and drag and move it. And you can see from these blue lines that it's now fairly even. Okay, so once it's in the right spot where I want, I'm going to let go. And I'm going to create this list here. Okay, so I will type the list and then actually I'll pause. What I want you to do is actually pause the video and make this copies or copy this into that second text box. So these listed, we have a heading up at the top, and then we have a bulleted list underneath, structure of an HTML page, formatting text, links, images, lists, tables, and styling. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to put that information here. So I'll leave it on this page. Go ahead and pause this tutorial and type that list into your second text box right here. All right, so you can see that I've done exactly what you should have done as well. And in the second text box, I recreated the list that I have here. I've also made changes to the font for the heading and the font of the list items so that they match what I've done in previous texts. So if you haven't done that yet, also pause this tutorial and make those changes to your text so that the fonts match. Okay, so go ahead and pause your tutorial and do that for me now. All right, so before we continue on with this, we're going to go ahead and click publish. We're going to make sure that we like the way that it looks. I'm going to go ahead and click publish again. Okay, and then we're going to add our final text box so that we can start building when we do our CSS. We can start building those pages as well. So I'm going to go ahead and again go to text box on the right hand side. I should be on insert and then text box. I'm going to resize this text box so that it's the same size as my other ones, and I'm going to click and drag it so that it's up next to the others. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to pause the video so that it's here on this page. And in that third text box, I want you to copy the information that you see in this third text box here. So go ahead and do that for me now. All right, so now I have my third list of pages that we haven't created yet, but we will in a moment. I've made my editing changes to the font so that everything matches. And now I'm going to go ahead and publish. And publish. And we will be ready to move on to page our next step. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this tutorial. Once you're ready, once you've made all of your changes and you've published, go ahead and stop this one as well and move on to the next.